Sarah here from Singer's Advice. Well, today we're going to look at diaphragmatic breathing. Now, I've done a video on breathing before, but I think it's so important that I need to revisit it and just kind of get you thinking, rethinking it, and just making sure that you are doing it correctly. So, what is diaphragmatic breathing? Well, when we breathe, when we sing, it's a little bit different to when we breathe normally, because we don't generally think about how we breathe. And obviously, we always are using the diaphragm, but when we sing, we need to use it in a slightly different way. So, what are we doing when we're singing? What do we need to do with our breath? So, well, we need to start by thinking that definitely not when you breathe in. If this happens, it is so wrong. So the best way to practice breathing is in front of a mirror so you can see what's going on. We should have no tension up this end. Your shoulders shouldn't move. This should all be nice and relaxed. It needs to come from here, okay? We need to take the breath in through our mouths and feel this part of our body expand, okay, so that the diaphragm can flatten and go to where it needs to be in order to allow your rib cage to move up and your lungs to fill up with air. If you don't, you are not allowing your lungs to fill up with air, definitely not to the capacity that you need to be, and we generally don't use the full capacity of our lungs anyway. So it's good practice, even for not singing. It's just good practice for you, for your health, your general health, to fill up your lungs and use them effectively. But anyway, we are using them for singing, and this is what we're going to do. So, with your feet apart, I want you to put your hands not on your hips. So find your hips, but then I want you to move upwards. So not up to your rib cage, sort of in between your hips and your rib cage, where that starts. So in here, in the squidgy bit, okay? And I want you to just have your fingers kind of, you're not squeezing it in so much, you're just kind of gently holding on, okay? And I want you to take a breath in through your mouth. And I want you to feel your tummy coming out and your sides pushing against your fingers, okay? So if I turn to the side, you might be able to see a little bit better. Hands on here. Breathe in. Feel it come round. So you're squeezing in there a little bit to feel how your body's expanding out, okay? And then breathe out and feel it collapse again, okay? So try and have your hands round here so they're kind of not right round your tummy but just at the side. So breathing in again. Feel that expand, feel it pushing against your fingers, and then release it. And again. Feel it expanding, feel it pushing out, pushing on those fingers, and relax. So what we don't want to be doing when we're singing is, a lot of people when they first start singing, is you say breathe in and they suck their tummies in, so we get that. And that's just, that is not diaphragmatic breathing, okay? That is just going to force air to push out, okay? And we don't want that. We want to be in control of the air in order to sing really well. So what we need to do when we're singing though is not let that just release. So when we do that breathing in and we feel that expanding, we need to hold that position as we breathe out. So instead of it just going and collapsing back in again, we need it to stay there. And then it can collapse. So that is the main thing you need to practice for diaphragmatic breathing. If this isn't expanding while you are breathing in, then you're not doing it right. Okay, if you feel it going inwards, so you get more space here between your fingers, then that's not right, okay? You have to expand. Another way of thinking of it is having a rubber ring around your waist, and that you're taking in the air, and you're filling up that rubber ring right around your back. And you want to hold that air in that rubber ring as you breathe out. So nothing has moved. The position you get to when you've taken in that breath, when you've expanded, the rib cage has come up, you've filled your lungs up with air, the diaphragm's flattened, you hold that position. So the best exercise I've always used and I've always known is the one with a sound. So as we take in the air, so I'll stand at the side again, we're going to breathe in, expand, and then and so on. So you're going to hold that for as long as you can. Now, what you don't want to happen is you don't want the air pressure changing as you're going through the exercise, okay? So as you're doing the, you don't want it to end up being, because what happens there is it starts to force this back, and your diaphragm's going to come up and block the ability for your air to be used effectively, okay? So we have to keep the very controlled, very gentle, and very even. So also we don't want it kind of going up and down either. We don't want that kind of, because you're pushing in and out of there, of your tummy, okay? We want a controlled sound with this expanded, held in that position. And if you can master that, then you've mastered diaphragmatic breathing technique. Obviously that's the start of it. You then have to put that into singing. So obviously you can move on and put a note in there. So instead of this, you could be going and keep in that position. Yeah, if it releases, if it goes in, straight away tension comes, yeah, constriction comes, all kinds of bad things. So this is why breathing is so important, because it is the basis of great technique. Without diaphragmatic support, you cannot have good vocal technique. So I would suggest, if anything, this is what you master first of all. Diaphragmatic breathing. Breathing, expanding, holding the position, diaphragm flat, hold it, breathe out, sing out, but this must not move. It cannot just collapse, because that is the end of it all. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time at Singer's Advice.